Oh my gosh, I love that. It's a reminder for me that it's okay to not be okay. I think I'm still trying to untrain myself to not just ignore the feelings.
This is Maya. Maya is a passionate journalism policy advocate who lives in beautiful San Francisco. She's a loving fiance, caring sister, oh, and not to forget, a patient dog mom.
That was such a powerful moment for us, and
Besides all of
a
these,
lot of
Maya
people
also
had
happens to
never
live with a
spoken
stutter,
openly before in such a public way.
which she hid for most parts of her life. But not anymore.
Okay, now ABCD?
A, B.
My first language was Hebrew, and in elementary school, I had trouble communicating with my teachers because they couldn't understand my Hebrew, and so my mom and dad thought it would be better if I started speaking in English.
What's in there?
Where did you get it from?
What's the water? What are they? Shells?
No.
Oh?
My parents tell me my stutter started when I was around 4 years old, and so we're not really sure if having those two languages, learning them side by side, had anything to do with it.
All right. What about Baba Black Sheep?
And so my mom put me in speech therapy at school, and I would get pulled out of class. And I just remember hating that because I love school and I hated missing assignments. And I also hated just getting called out as well. And so I always, from a young age, thought I was different. And I would always ask myself, why am I getting called out? And why aren't my other friends getting called out?
Very good. Who's coming over today?
The bullying started around 4th grade, but I feel like I was an easier target because I was considered shy because I wouldn't really want to talk as much, or I wasn't as confident as other students because I was afraid to speak at times. I experienced a lot of jokes around my stutter, which was super hurtful deep down. But usually when jokes would happen, like at parties, I didn't want to make a scene, so I just laugh it off. But deep down, I felt horrible.
Maya never felt like she fit in. So she decided to hide her stutter. But not for long.
It was, I think, my 3rd job out of college, and I was working at a PR firm, and it was my first client-facing role where I had to run meetings with clients, and I would also have to pitch reporters stories in an open plan office, which you can imagine is very stressful. And even with a stutter, like people hearing you, trying to do your job, trying to speak, because when you're pitching a reporter, you have to, communicate in the right way and say the right words. And so that was super difficult for me. And I would get feedback from my boss at the time saying I didn't prepare. I didn't sound confident. I sounded like I didn't know what I was saying. And so she would mark me down in my performance reviews because of those things. And that was so humiliating, and also just, I'm a perfectionist usually, and so that just not being able to control my stutter in certain situations was so hard for me, because it's like I wanted to do good so bad.
Now, this was enough. Maya was tired of denying parts of who she was and decided to open up about her stutter.
So my fiance, I actually opened up to him about my stutter on our very first date, which was interesting because I think he noticed I stuttered, because he actually used to have a stutter too when he was little, but he outgrew it, which is very common. A lot of kids develop a stutter and then they outgrow it. I felt comfortable right away just in that shared experience. I know it's different because he outgrew it, but what I really liked about him and how he, I guess, would interact with me is he would always maintain eye contact. He never finished my sentences. He was so patient. And then with my family, me and my sister, I was kind of always jealous of her in that she didn't stutter. And so I would always think like, why do I stutter and my sister doesn't? And I've actually never told her that before. The first time I really came out about my stutter to people outside of my friends, my immediate friends and family, was during a kind of narrative strategy session with this community I've been a part of for a while. I just always felt when I was getting to know people that there was just always a disconnect, because I think a lot of it had to do with hiding my stutter. That feeling of opening up and really stepping into my power as a person and as a person who stutters, I knew I wanted to keep doing it.
And this was only the beginning. Once Maya accepted her stutter, she also found her voice.
And so, yeah, welcome to the show, Mark. We're so excited to have you.
Maya didn't only speak out about her stutter. No, she went much further by producing a podcast about stuttering.
Once I committed to Proud Stutter and doing the podcast, I knew there was going to be a lot to go into it to make it a success. And so that's really when I started just talking to more people who stutter. I really embedded myself in the stuttering community in ways I'd never done before, because I didn't want to just start a podcast. I wanted to be part of the community, show up, learn from people with different stories. And that's when I really started to just step into my advocacy role, because as much as I love doing the podcast and sharing stories and telling my own stories on the podcast, I knew that I wanted to have some sort of activism and action-oriented thing to accompany that. I've been an advocate in so many spaces in my professional life, and I felt so excited that I was able to use these skills for my own cause and for something that means so much to me personally. And so that's when the advocacy just naturally started to happen.
The moment Maya saw her stutter as just another part of herself, she became the person she was always meant to be. Besides her podcast, Maya started to speak to city and state decision makers, and I can tell you, she won't take no for an answer. Only because of her persistence, the first local resolution to formalize Stuttering Awareness Week in San Francisco was passed. And she's only starting out.
There's this misunderstanding that if you work hard enough, you can fix your stutter. I can't fix my stutter, and I think labeling it as trying to fix it is just really harmful in that it makes me feel that something's wrong with me, when really stuttering is just a speech difference that is equivalent almost to an accent.